right, let's learn how to squat. So it's easier to learn how to do this body weight first before we get under the bar. So you're gonna take a shoulder width stance. So you want the inside of your heel to line up with your armpit. You wanna have your toes turned out. This is an example of a stance that is too narrow. So you don't wanna go hip width. That's gonna be too narrow. You don't wanna go wider than shoulder width either. That's gonna be too wide. You wanna take a stance that puts your heels at shoulder width. So the inside of your heel should line up with your shoulder joint / your armpit. You're gonna have your toes turned out. You're also going to shove your knees out to track over your toes when you squat down. Not straight forward. You want to shove them out to the side in line with your toes. This is what it's going to look like. See how my knees are going out when I squat down, not forward. So here we go. Knees out all the way down. Stand back up, knees tracking over toes. Here's what it looks like from the side. So shoulder width stance, toes pointed slightly out. Gonna squat down, sit my hips back, shove my knees out, and lean over. You're gonna have more of a lean than you probably think you should. This is normal and it's okay. You don't want to have your back rounded in this position. You don't want to be too leaned forward. Squeeze your chest up and get your whole spine flat and rigid. Make sure your hip crease is at or slightly below your knee. And then we can do a few air squats like this to practice the movement. Notice how my torso is not completely upright because it doesn't have to be and it shouldn't be. Notice how I'm sitting my butt back, shoving my knees out and leaning over to squat down. My weight is not shifted in my toes. It's not shifted way back in my heels. It's in the middle of my foot. You want to have your weight shifted in the middle of your foot when you squat because you'll be the most balanced that way. So think about pushing through your whole foot while you're squatting, not. Okay, let's get under the bar now. So you're gonna set the bar up so that it comes up to mid-sternum when it's in the rack. And then you wanna take a grip that's just outside of shoulder width. Depending on how flexible you are, you might grab wider or narrower, but I would suggest grabbing at the ring with your pinky at the ring is a good place to start. We're gonna dip under the bar, and if we place the bar at the top of our traps, this is gonna be considered the high bar position and is totally fine to use. If your shoulders are really tight, you might like this position. If we squeeze our shoulder blades together and slide the bar down until it stops on our rear deltoids, this is the low bar position. This is the position I'm gonna use for the example in this video, and it's the position that I prefer to squat in. Either high bar or low bar is fine for this. You don't want to have your wrists cocked back too much. You want to have your wrists nice and straight. You don't need to wing your elbows out either. Nice neutral wrists, shoulder blades retracted, bar on top of the rear deltoids. Get your feet under the bar and stand it up out of the rack with your legs. Then take 1 and then 2 steps back, and you can kind of adjust by wiggling your feet to get into your stance that we just talked about. Then you're going to take a nice big breath. You're going to hold it and you're going to brace and squat down. Butt back, knees out, chest down. You're going to take another breath at the top, reset, and take another squat. You can reset your breath at the top of each rep. And remember, you're going to have more forward lean than you think in your torso. And this is just because we want to keep the bar over the middle of our foot. You don't want to squat too upright like this. You're not going to be able to squat down and it's not efficient. Remember, butt back, knees out, chest down. Make sure you hit depth and stand back up. To re-rack it, walk forward until you hit the uprights and then set it down in the rack. And that's the squat. All right, if you don't have access to a barbell, you can do a dumbbell goblet squat. So same mechanics apply. You're just gonna hold the dumbbell like a goblet and squat down with it. You're just gonna be holding it in front of you, and here's what it looks like from the side. You wanna make sure that you hold it close to your body and squat down just like we talked about in the rest of this video.